Many artists can paint landscapes, but until they get to the water, and that's where things fall apart. Now, after 20 plus years of painting and teaching hundreds of students, I've noticed the same struggles over and over. The ripples look stiff, the movement disappears, and the water ends up looking like a solid object instead of something that's alive. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact process I teach at my art school, how to build believable shadows, shapes, how reflections actually behave, and the simple brush techniques to create subtle movements without overworking the paint. Stick with me, because by the end of this video you'll know how to paint water that actually feels like it's moving. And as well as focusing on how to paint the water, I'm going to give you some general tips on painting landscapes as well, as we've got quite a few elements and things going on in this scene here. I painted this artwork in oils, and the brand of paint I'm using is Blue Ridge oil paints. You could also paint this in acrylics as well. And this scene is inspired by a place called the Kawaro River in southern New Zealand, and I actually went plein air painting here. In fact, I made a YouTube video on this, but I actually used my plein air painting as a study for this painting here. So I was really inspired by this scene. There was loads of autumn trees there, and I just loved the water and how blue it was. So the first thing I do whenever I start a painting is I focus on all the dark values and shadows first. So this includes the shadows in the trees and in the water here as well. So with the water, I was looking for where the shadows are in the ripples, which is usually on the face of the ripples. So the water here was reflecting some of the trees in the background, whereas the more flat looking water is reflecting the sky. But I also painted the shadows in the distant mountain there, and I include the cloud shadows in there even though they're quite a bit further away and lighter in value. So once I've marked in the shadows, it makes everything easier when it comes to painting the areas in light, because we'll find our darkest darks and our lightest lights in the foreground, and then as landforms recede, the darks aren't as dark and the lights aren't as light. So when I'm painting, I'm always focusing on values, which is how light or dark your subject is. Because if you get your values correct, it doesn't matter so much if you haven't mixed perhaps the right colour, but if your values aren't working, then the whole painting is just going to look flat. So to start with, I worked on the elements that are actually in the background and the midground. So I wasn't working on the water just yet, only so far as just painting the main shadows that are in the ripples. But I focused on getting the colours down in the trees, which were mainly combinations of ultramarine blue, cadmium yellow medium, yellow ochre, titanium white, but then also a little bit of phthalo green and some cadmium red light and burnt sienna. And then some of the trees were turning yellow as it was autumn, so I was using varying mixes of cadmium yellow medium, cadmium red light, titanium white, yellow ochre and alizarin crimson. So these are good colours for creating autumn tones. Then the other thing was to start painting the rocks that are in the foreground, and I generally wanted a kind of neutral warm grey, so not high in chroma or saturation, and for this I was using combinations of ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, titanium white, alizarin crimson and a little yellow ochre. So next here was to start painting the body of the water. So whenever I paint water, or indeed anything in landscapes, I start breaking it down into simple areas of tone and colour. So for example, I'll look for the darks first and then I'll look for the areas in light. So a lot of this water is blue, it's reflecting the sky, but also a lot of the water that comes from the mountains tends to have a blue cast to it anyway. So for the blue, I mixed combinations of ultramarine blue, a little phthalo green, yellow ochre and titanium white. Then I left some areas blank where I used the colours that I used for the trees in the midground in the water, so that this is going to convey still areas of water where it's directly reflecting those trees in the background. And then as I was applying the paint, I was doing vertical downwards brush marks, which helps to better convey the reflections. Now at this point in the painting, I'd blocked it in, and once you've blocked in a painting, it's serving as a kind of a map, a base to work from where you can start building up detail. And I typically block in my paintings using loose brushwork, so I start off really loose, I don't worry about detail, and then once it's dry I can then start the modelling process where I'm dropping down a few brush sizes, using smaller brushes and starting to work on individual zones and building up the details, such as what I'm doing here in the background. So starting with the background mountain there, restating some of those shadows. The shadows are lighter compared with the trees in the foreground because that mass of mountains is further away, so the shadows are getting lighter as you go into the distance. And then working on the trees. Now the thing to consider with trees is they're usually some of the darkest values in the landscape, especially conifer trees. In this case it's a bit of a mixed bag because we've got some yellows in the landscape there, and yellow is a lighter value colour, so the shadows for autumn trees are likely to be a bit lighter. But however, I was still painting some of these dark shadows, especially in the conifer trees, and using some synthetic brushes, some synthetic flat brushes, just to convey a little bit more detail. You can get a more sharper, more chiseled edge with them. So just adding those marks to form the shapes of the trees. And then working on the other trees. These are Lombardy poplar trees, and I was mainly using bristle flat brushes just to build out the tree canopies, and then restating the yellow areas where the trees have turned yellow, so some of the more highlight areas of the trees, and just beginning to work in the details. So the trees, I applied quite a few layers to them just to build up the form of the trees, and I was really just working my way forward in the painting, so starting off in the background here and then just working my way forward towards the water. Now, if you're enjoying this video so far and you'd like to take a deeper dive into learning how to paint landscapes, also if you'd like to see the full version of this video, then come and join me at my art school. We do a weekly live painting class and there's loads of painting tutorial videos there that's to help you improve your painting quickly, so that you've got paintings that you'd be really proud to show, to hang on your wall, and even sell them if you wanted to. So as I say, come and join me at my art school. I've put a link in the description box below. So next let's work on the water again, and I'm painting the reflections of those trees in the background. That's going to create a really nice effect. So I'm looking for where the darker tones are, such as the conifer trees, which are creating darker reflections in the water. Also some of those yellows and greens. And then as I paint them, I then push the brush downwards for some downwards marks to create more reflective water. And then when that's done, I started painting the areas of the light that's reflecting the sky, and was able to just add a few brush marks across the top of that reflective water. And that creates a really nice effect, and quite a simple way of creating reflective looking water. Now the other thing is as well is the water more towards the foreground is shallower but more turbulent as well, so that was going to be a bit more of a tricky part, but I decided to work on that a little bit later. In the meantime, I was just focusing on adding more ripples to the water and then adding little highlights to it and just forming some of those ripples and little waves. Then as I worked forward in the painting, I was using a synthetic flat brush, a number 3 flat brush, and adding more shadows and just building up the form of the water. So it's usually easiest to form the base of the water to begin with, and then you can start working in shadows. Now the shadows in the water, especially here in the foreground where the ripples are, they're really key to building up the flowing water. Then there's other things going on in the foreground. For example, the water's actually pretty transparent, so you could see some of the rocks below. So I added in a few of those tones in there as well. And then another way to form the body of the water was to paint some of the white water there. So where the water's rapidly flowing over those rocks and stones, that's creating the white water. And that's going to add interest to the water overall. So I just added titanium white with a little bit of ultramarine blue, burnt sienna and alizarin crimson mix in, just to darken the value, because I'll be saving my lightest values towards the end of the painting. And then there was refinements to be added to the water. Now the water was definitely well underway at this point, and then I decided to leave it to let it dry so that I could focus on the other elements in the painting, such as painting these rocks. Starting to add highlights here. So again, I'd started off darker. You can see the darker tones on there, and then I was painting more of the highlights and just building up those layers. So it's going to have more depth and complexity to the rocks without getting too bogged down in the detail. So when you're creating a landscape such as this, we don't want to go too detailed to start with. It's actually a lot easier to start loose and then just build up detail as you work through the painting. So I was starting to add more halftones and shadows to the rocks here. Then also beginning to paint the suggestion of a few cracks. There wasn't that many shadows in the whole scene because the light was actually coming from behind. So there's a few shadows in the trees and a little bit in the mountains in the background and just a few shadows in the rocks. But there's just enough shadows in this scene to add some real kind of depth and realism into this painting. Now that's not to say you can't paint landscapes that are all completely bathed in light, but if that's the case, you've really got to get your tonal values on point. And actually, just with landscapes in general, just having some shadows in there, it's going to go a long way to conveying depth and realism. So generally in all of my landscape paintings, I'll have shadows in there, even if they're just really small ones, such as in this scene. Now, at this point in the painting, I'd had quite a few sessions on it and it was well underway, and I was starting to think about getting it finished. Now, when it comes to finishing up paintings, this is where I begin really adding the last detail, getting a lot more detail in there. And I'll also be saving my lightest values until the end. So it's like we're slowly like building up the lighter layers as we work through the painting. And it's just adding more depth to the painting overall. So I painted things such as the main stems and branches in these poplar and willow trees, painting things like more cracks in the rocks and even little poplar saplings that are poking up as well, and then just refining some areas of the banks of the river there. Then last of all was to add the final details to the water. So here I'm adding more highlights, especially to the waves and ripples, and the way to do this is to have an immediate light area above where the shadow area of the ripple is, and you'll find more of the light areas in the troughs of the ripples, so that helps to convey more realism. Now last of all, I saved my lightest lights until the end, and that was the highlights in the water, and this was just a mix of titanium white with a little bit of yellow ochre. And I was just painting the suggestion of some white water there, also a few little sparkles in that turbulent water in the foreground. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you'd like to see the full version of this painting tutorial where I show you how to paint it from start to finish, come and join me at my art school. Also, if you want to learn more about painting water, then check out this video here. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next video.